Hi folks, Ergelt here. Great Shots asked me to tell the story of my own caffeine addiction, so here it is. I'm going to start the story in a rather odd way. When I was a kid, my mother kept a small vegetable garden, and she had trouble with slugs. Her solution was to place saucers in the ground, so the lip of each saucer was even with the ground. Then fill the saucers with Coke. By morning, each saucer was filled with the corpses of slugs. The sugar attracted them, the caffeine paralyzed them, and they drowned. I started drinking Coke as a teenager. In college, it was almost the only stuff I drank. My dorm owned its own soft drink machines. I took the job of refilling the machines and monitoring deliveries so I could be sure we'd never run out. I was already a Coke addict, and I acted like one. In the summer of 1973, between college semesters, I took a job on a survey crew for Mobil Oil. The crew went all over southern Michigan, working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. We began each workday by stopping at a diner and drinking a lot of coffee. That summer was also when I began to experience migraines. About every 2 or 3 weeks, a migraine would hit me, and I'd be completely helpless. The crew would just leave me on the seat of the pickup truck. By the next day, I'd be back to normal. From that point forward, I was hit with migraines every 2 to 3 weeks. In the years following college, I was the guy at work who drank the most coffee. At the end of the day, I'd usually be the one to take the last dregs of coffee from the coffee urn. This stuff had been in the urn all day, and it came out looking more like syrup than coffee. Then I'd get off work and start right in on the Coke. Very likely I was suffering from caffeine intoxication much of the time. But you know, it's hard to tell. I'm reminded of something Lady Seneca said about PMS in women. No matter what the source of your feelings, you feel them. That's your emotional state. It's real to you, and you have to deal with it. Nobody diagnosed me with caffeine intoxication. So the fact that I was moody, or agitated, or losing sleep, or my heart was beating too fast, or I was a bit paranoid at times, it was never connected by my doctors or myself to caffeine. I was once stopped for speeding at 50 miles per hour through a 35 mile per hour zone during a blinding snowstorm with a foot of snow on the ground. There was no traffic to speak of. The cop asked me what the heck was I doing. I wasn't an habitual speeder, but I do know I was juiced up from coffee from work when they let us out due to the storm. Migraines continued until 1980. By then the severity and frequency had increased. I had to discontinue playing basketball with friends because it would trigger a migraine every time. The migraines would last longer then, up to 3 days, and might occur as often as once a week. I'd been going to doctors, of course. Their solution was to prescribe a drug which contained a fungus called ergot and caffeine. The migraines had finally reached an intensity that could not be ignored. Doctors were unable to tell me what to do. So I started examining what was different about my life from people who didn't get migraines. The glaring difference was the caffeine I was consuming. I discontinued the ergot caffeine drug, even though it meant more pain from the migraines. I stopped drinking any soft drinks with caffeine. I quit all coffee. In other words, I went cold turkey. It was hard. I'm lucky I had an interesting job because it kept me focused and sane. I got the headaches, I got the depression, I got the lowered blood pressure, I got the cravings. It was sheer torture to smell coffee, and I smelled it constantly from all the other coffee drinkers around me at work. But within 6 months, all of the migraines were gone. Completely gone. And the cravings for coffee and Coke were gone. To me, it's a very great irony that medical treatment for my migraines was making them worse. This is one of several episodes in my life that has made me wary of accepting doctors' advice without questioning it. It's made me a more careful consumer. In the years since I quit, it's become possible to surf the internet and find medical opinions linking caffeine to migraines. But the average doctor may know nothing about it even today. These days I drink mostly herbal teas and water. I occasionally drink a cup or two of white tea, black tea, green tea, because I like those teas. I don't feel myself to be addicted now. I can go with purely herbal teas if I want to, without any withdrawal symptoms, and I often do. And that is the story of my own caffeine addiction. Folks, if you'd like to tell your own story about caffeine, I'd love to hear it. Please feel free to reply to this video. Even if you're still hooked, you can tell us what you're consuming and your thoughts about what you'd like to do in the future. Thank you for watching.